Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director Saldana, for all of the work that you do. Public service is often thankless, as you know, and while we might have differences, I do appreciate your service. The President recently said in a national address, "If you're a criminal, you'll be deported." Is that really true?
If you're a criminal, we are going to locate you, arrest you, and put you in removable proceedings and deport you.
But with over 160,000 convicted criminals still at large in the United States, do you believe that is being held accountable?
This is what I do. This is what we're trying to achieve. We are looking for them. We're going to find them. I will tell you there will be no stone unturned to try to locate every one of them. Will we have a 100% success rate? It's probably impractical, but we're doing everything we can to find them.
And of the 2,000 criminals recently apprehended this month, as it was announced, how many had been apprehended by ICE previously?
I think there was 1,000. I think there were 1,000 that we had.
But
you mean by ICE? I'm sorry.
Well, or by border, by anyone.
Or some other law enforcement agency?
Of the 2,000 criminals that were apprehended as being on the most dangerous list, how many had been in custody of the United States law enforcement agencies before?
There were quite a few. I don't have that number right at hand.
It speaks to a problem that if these were the most dangerous and these were at the top of the heap for targeting and we had held them in our custody once before, but we didn't think it important enough to prevent their release. How many of the 2,000 will be deported?
They're all in removal proceedings.
And can you provide confirmation to us of those numbers as they are deported?
Yes, sir.
And the last interesting thing, in a recent town hall meeting in Miami, President Obama said that there would be consequences for Border Patrol agents or ICE officers who do not follow the DACA or DAPA policies to remove qualifying illegal aliens from the United States. What are those consequences for Border Patrol agents who remove those illegal aliens?
As I just stated, I am the director of ICE. Customs and Border Protection is one of the other agencies with the Department of Homeland Security.
And I understand that, but I mean, you work interrelated. What do you think the President would be speaking of there, that there would be consequences on agents that are trying, like yourself, to uphold the law?
They're employees, and as I just stated a minute ago, it's like any other employee. If they are not following the directives of the top, then anything from a reprimand to ultimately termination can occur. And I will tell you, that's my view. I do not know what the President was talking about.
Well, sure, but let me ask you, as a director and as a prosecuting attorney and someone who's served the public for a long time, putting criminals behind bars, do you like such restrictions and being told that you can't uphold what you know the rule of law to be? I wish, and I mean this sincerely, I could get every criminal immigrant who's illegal in the country out of the country as quickly as possible. And I'm doing everything I can to do that. However, do you feel that you're being prohibited by the executive?
No, sir. We have our hands full. We have our hands full with the priorities, the murderers, the rapists. We have our hands full. Those are the people we're out to look for. We are interested in public safety, border security, and national security, and that's where our focus is.
But doesn't it create a little bit of an intimidating environment when you have the chief executive making threats to agents that are trying to uphold the law? And when you have limited resources, changing rules, I mean, you deal with these people. You mentioned them yourself in earlier testimony here of how dangerous these criminals were and the types of offenses that they had done. Knowing your passion for upholding that, how does that make you feel as a director of an agency so vital to our security to have what appears to be intimidation statements being made by the executive?
I have made it very clear to all almost 20,000 employees that I expect them to uphold the highest standards. And quite frankly, we have an employee manual that is quite extensive, where people know that if they do not represent the agency well, where they commit themselves crimes, there will be consequences. So quite frankly, I think it's an important thing to communicate clearly to employees what the expectations are.
Well, and I appreciate that, and I understand that people that try to uphold the law can face consequences. I hope those that are illegally here and are breaking the law and are dangerous, as we've heard in testimony, even some losing members of their family to these criminals, I would hope that they would be the ones that would have the consequence. And I yield back my time. Thank you, Mr.